Hello, everybody. Good evening. Uh, it is another scalding hot evening here in the greater New Jersey area. And we're going to have a little fun tonight. I clearly have some work to do with my gaming stream, but that will come with practice. I figured out the issue, by the way. I was trying to hook up an old console with a less than stellar HDMI converter. I got to get a better one. So if I were to hook up my actual N64 to the computer again, I would have to do things differently. But until then, I think if I stream a game, I'll play the N64 games on the Switch and just stream the Switch. But anyway, I'm going to wait a little bit for everyone to get here. Let the algorithm do its thing. I kind of created this stream and sent out notifications last minute. Because to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really planning on going live tonight. But here we are. As you can see, Elvis is enjoying a nap up there. And his legs are all spread out. He's hot right now. We're all hot. It's looking at my thermostat. It's about 80 degrees in here. The heat hasn't let up, so I'm tired. Okay. Tonight, Heaven Savage, hello. Thank you for checking out the stream. Tonight, I'm going to be mixing the same song that you guys are going to be mixing for my contest. Figured, why not? I'm obviously not going to enter my own contest because that's silly. But I figured I'd try my hands at the track that you guys are going to be mixing. Now, obviously, again, I am not going to add this into the entries. I'm literally just fucking around tonight. But we're just gonna hang out, and I'm just gonna mix a little bit. That's all. I'm not even gonna try to get this as super polished as possible. I'm just gonna have fun until I'm happy with what I'm hearing. Hope everyone is having a good week so far. Today's real estate listings brought me all over the place to Clifton near Dingbats, then down to Hamilton near Trenton, and then over to PA border. So a lot of driving today. Anyway, you guys don't give a shit about that. So yeah, we're gonna get to it. So in Logic right here, I have the same exact multi-tracks that you guys have. We're mixing a song called Departure, and it is basically the official theme song of the channel. Thank you to my buddies Zach Yelly, Greg Talfayon for giving me these multi-tracks. So today, I'm just going to be getting these to sound as good as I can. And maybe this will be motivating factors for you guys to say to yourselves, oh, maybe I can get it to sound this good. Or maybe it will ignite a little confidence in you saying, I can totally mix it better. Whatever happens. It's whatever. This is all in good fun. Even though this is a competition, life shouldn't be a constant competition. So, a little bit of backstory before we get started here. everything's in the description in all caps. The link to the video explaining the rules of the contest, the link to download the multi-tracks, the email address where you can submit everything. It's all in the description. Just click that link, watch the video, get up to speed with what's going on. If you ever do another contest, do one in under an hour and stream it. It could have all the contestants in Discord, live streaming their desktop. Oh my god, that's... Yeah, maybe I could do something like that. That would be kind of crazy. Can't imagine the bandwidth needing something like that to, I can't imagine a bandwidth required to do something like that be anything less than spectacular. But all right, algorithm is not really doing its thing right now. If people are going to tune in later, let them tune in. I'm not going to stall and literally just like not do anything right now. So I'm going to get started. First things first, I'm going to do is just hear what's going on with the drums, time align the drums, and see if they need any phase correction. I don't know if Zachy did that in post or not. So we'll see. We'll get that going right now. But first, let me do what I always do with my sessions. Let's color and label these. Since this is a instrumental, I don't really need to worry about vocals, so this should be, on paper at least, pretty easy. And as always with my streams, guys, you are seeing me do this for the very first time, without hearing anything predetermined. So unlike a Food Network show or whatever, I don't have the dish ready to go in the underneath the desk. I'm just processing this in real time as it's happening. Okay. First, let's get rough mix of the drums. And we'll see what's going on. Let me check the chat real quick and see if there's anything else. Nope, there isn't. Okay, I'm just going to get going. There we go. Straight to the point. Let's just go. Oh, I forgot. There's the little clips. We got to deal with the sample clips. All right. I'll deal with that in a second. I'm going to put everything through noise gates to eliminate the little clips. But Now comes the hard part, because now I gotta figure out what guitar tone I think sounds good for this. So, this is gonna be interesting. All right, let's see. What do I have as far as amp sims go? This is going to be entirely in the box, by the way. I don't have a reamp system here because I don't have a guitar amp. So let's see. What does my trusty Soldano sound like? Alright, that doesn't sound too bad. Let's see what else I can do with this. Let's see. The Soldano sound is my usual go-to because I can get a lot of great tones from that. I do like the sound of the Soldano, so why don't I? What I'm going to do now is turn off the speaker, right? So it's just the direct signal from the amp. And now what I'm going to do is open up Celestion Speaker Shaper. This is a very cool cab impulse response system. I really like this thing. I've only used it a handful of times, so bear with me. I'm going to basically like sort of discover again how this works and how it sounds. Already it sounds pretty dope. Let's see, how does the 421 sound? I kind of like how the 2x12 cab impulse responses sound versus the 4. So I'm going to combine the I'm going to have the dynamic 421 on the vintage 30, and then a good combo with that is always a good creamback, and see how this speaker sounds with a 57 on it. Now let's do an A and B with that, with the Soldano versus this. I'm leaning towards the Celestion speaker simulator. I'm leaning towards this. So, you know what? I'm going to make a decision and just run with it. now let's do the main rhythm parts. All right, so this definitely sounds a little more low end. So I kind of like the input settings on the Soldano, so let's just see how that sounds right out of the gate, same as this. Actually sounds pretty good. Yeah, just for heavy distorted guitars, like I really just love this Soldano amp. If you're going fake and, you know, using an amp sim. Yeah, that I like how this section goes from the lighter sounding guitar and these two rhythm tracks right here just like explode. Like I didn't even add the second rhythm parts yet. It already just sounds fucking massive. God, I love you, Zachy. Your arrangements are just so fucking sick. All right, let's see what the Soldano sounds like on this track. All right, I'm going to see what the Celestion has to offer. Let me just bring this setting over here. I'll turn off the IR for the Soldano. Same amp settings. Yeah. Now let's see what the Celestion sounds like. Definitely sounds brighter. Holy shit. All right, I want these guitars to cut through a little bit more. So I think... No, there's no other guitar parts cutting through. There's no other guitar parts there. So I think I'm going to use the Celestion for this one just because this sounds a lot more bright. But let's just fuck with the tone a little bit more to see what we can get out of it. Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome. All right, let's get these fills. Let's try the clean tone that I had. I don't think that's gonna work, but let's see what the clean tone that I had. No, that doesn't sound right. So scrap that. Scrap that. I do have another. I think I have another amp. I think I have amps with the UAD, and I have a slate amp too. So let's see. Super lead amp. Let's see what that sounds like. If I have it. If it works. Yes, okay. Let's see what this sounds like. That sounds pretty cool. Could have swore I had another instrument. I could have swore I had another guitar amp in there. Yeah, here's one. That sounds good. Okay, here we go. Now we got something. Now we got something going on. Yeah, that sounds fucking great. I don't think I would change anything about that. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, I think that works. Then we got a couple more fills in here. What do these sound like? Alright, so that's going to definitely be what guitar part is playing. So the rhythm, that's a Soldano. So let's get these Soldano Celestion combos onto here to cut through. See how that sounds like. Yep, that sounds good. Okay. Yup. Moving along. And now, finally, the important lead to close everything out. This has got to sound fucking epic. So, I think I'm going to start with a fresh thing of the Soldano, just because that's my go-to. By the way, anyone watching this, the tempo for this is 107. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Zachy told me. That third tom that's clipping. Yep, it is. Okay. Yep, there it is right there. Not enough has been taken out. Yeah, that sounds fucking dope. Okay. Let's move on to keyboards. Let's just mingle those in. I don't think these are dry. Alright, so these are straight from Zachy's synthesizer, so just gonna blend them in. It sounds fucking full already, and like the drums are still completely raw. I mean, there's a sample there, but like this sounds full with like nothing, with nothing done. Damn, this sounds really good. Yeah, that sounds fucking dope already. I'm gonna barely do anything to the drums here. Ugh. I almost hate to say it, but I understand why people use a fuckload of amp sims now. I understand why people just obsess over using amp sims. Ugh. Let's see. Multi-output device. Okay, good. You guys are getting... It would have been really awkward if you guys weren't getting the Logic Pro playback audio. Seth, I just picked up the bundle of 4 and UAD amps. They're absolutely amazing amps. Yeah, they're... So far, they're pretty good. Turn up your mic in OBS. Yeah, I'm talking a little quiet tonight. The thing is, if I glaze the red, it clips and it distorts. So, all right. Let's, I'm going to keep going with this. Yeah. I think I think I'm just going to need, like, basic compression and just level control of the keyboards and the bass tracks, and just process the drums how I would normally process them. I might go against my rule and add a snare sample to these. I can't believe I just said that, but I might go against my rule of adding a snare sample. All right. Let's mix some drums. First, let's get auto line on and see if any of these drums need alignment or phase correction or any of that fun shit. Barely any movement. Barely any movement. Yeah, it's just a slight difference, but that's all I need. All right. Kick samples are pretty straightforward. Definitely don't need compression on it, but definitely want to get some saturation into the signal itself and sort of lessen the severity of the hit. Yeah, that sounds like a snare drum now. Also because Greg's playing it, so yeah, it sounds fucking amazing because it's Greg playing it. Yeah, fuck that. I'm not gonna. There's no way I'm gonna change and put samples on that. It sounds fucking great as it is. Yeah. Just resting my ears for a second while I regroup here. Yeah, it's coming along really well. I mean, if this proves anything, guys, this is the source greatly affects the mix. Like it's literally effortless what I'm doing right now. I love these people, by the way. Like, let me just take a breather here to address the stupidity of the comments that I still get sometimes on the Metallica video. Like, look at this guy. Well, with enough drugs or alcohol or both, you'd be just fine. Metal concerts and sobriety were two things that didn't make sense. It's... Like, I don't understand people. I have zero patience for idiotic comments like that. At this point, like, it's I read the same bullshit every day on that video. Yeah. Let's see. Is there any held comments that YouTube thinks are offensive? Nope. Surprisingly not. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Elvis behind there. You see him? He's just chilling right now. Let's see. Can I zoom in? Not on my stupid face. Look at Elvis. He's just relaxing right now. It's way too hot in here for him, so he's just sleeping. All right. Let me resize the camera again. I'm pretty sure there's a quick key command to zoom in on OBS, but I'm too lazy to push buttons and figure it out. All right, let's continue here with this. Where was I? Okay, I was in the middle of setting up the toms. There's a fucking beat right there for you guys. Holy mother of shit. I just noticed a major boo-boo with this. Like, there was no kick drum hits here. But there's kick drum hits in the overheads. Oh, am I about to tell Zachy you fucked up? You fucked up? Holy shit, guys. Okay. I feel like I may owe you all an apology on this. No, in fact, I do owe you guys an apology on this. Hold on. Now I need to do some microscopic surgery with this. Yeah, because there was no fucking way that the kick drum was missing from that. Like, I'm no fucking world-class producer here, but even I'm like, bruh. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add these kick drum hits, and I'm going to export this thing right here to the Dropbox right now, so you guys can just reinsert this into your versions of the mix and then resubmit it. I will allow the resubmissions now for this because I fucked up and I didn't oversee this. So I will fix this, and then you guys can all send me the revision with this new kick drum track. Unless you caught it when you were mixing it too, and you just did it yourself. But feel free to send an email with the caption, you know, with any wrestling crowd going like, "You fucked up. You fucked up." Because I absolutely did. I absolutely fucked up. Holy shit, I fucked up. And if you don't download this, I won't hold it against you. So this is on me that I fucked up on this. I'm literally like destroying the fucking rules of this whole thing. I fucked up so bad with this. All right, that should be the fix. That's a floor tom hit. All right. All right, let me correct this right now and send it your guys' way. See, this is why I don't voluntarily replace fucking samples and rely on triggers. This is exactly why. Greg probably didn't hit the kick drum with that enough velocity. I'm sure Zachy noticed it when he was mixing it. Okay. All right, let me save this to, where is it? Bypass plugins. Export. All right. All right. Let's fucking departure raw stems. All right, well, I just had to correct a major fuck up on my end. Okay. Okay. All right, well, that crisis is averted. Now, let's... All right, now let's get back to doing this. Okay, that sounds all right. Let's get to reverb. Yes, I'm using a sample. You could tell I don't use samples that much. I can't wait to see what this plugin does for this room mic. Let's see how it sounds. Also, remember, everything pretty much is in mono right now, too. So I think now's the time I can start spreading everything. drums need one final thing, and that's parallel compression on the toms. And then I think the toms will... Not only the toms will be done, but the drums will be done. Why can't I type? There we go. Let's do a post fader. There we go. All right, let's finally now address that bass and get the low end finalized. Yeah, that's starting to sound pretty fucking epic right now. Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. Yeah, my shirt right now is just sweaty all over the place. It's so hot here. Not as hot as this fucking mix though. This is starting to sound pretty amazing. All right. Let's take it from the top and see how it sounds. There's a couple of these tom hits that are really irritating me. I keep forgetting that Greg likes to play with his ride cymbal way close by the drum. All right, that's pretty good. Let me finalize the end right here because everything sounds a little fuzzy, and then I'll get to final mix bus processing. Okay, one more time from the top. I'm sorry. I really like the snare verb to have a whole lot more oomph in the beginning here. Okay. Yep, that's done. I'm sure I can finagle and micro adjust every fucking drum hit if I wanted to. But there's just no way. It sounds natural to me, and I don't want to make it sound too robotic. I mean, I'm already like having to work with a kick sample, and I already put a snare sample to go with the snare. So to me, that's just way too many samples already. But now let's get the final mix bus processing. Holy shit, that sounds fucking huge. All right. Let's go. Final playthrough, guys. And I'll mute my mic this time so you can hear it a little more clearly. Final playthrough. Let's go, guys. Final playthrough. I really hate noticing things like right as I'm about to bounce. So I just needed to increase the volume of the pad a little bit. Okay, for real now. Final playthrough. All right. There we go. Now my mic's working. Yeah, that sounds pretty fucking good to me. Yeah, that sounds fucking dope. All right, let me catch up with the chat here, guys. Set up by Marshall. I've mixed this, well-recorded tracks. Thank you. Had to remove a few clicks, but that was easy. Yeah, it's fucking easy. Russell checked in. Ace Man, here we go. I was waiting for you to show up. Yeah, 99 today. It was 105 earlier. My only nitpick is at 132. The guitar on the right has crazy loud string slide. Couple of other places too. Yeah, it is what it is. Lamar Brewster, have you announced an ending date for the contest? The final submission date is July 11th. Change of pace. How do you feel about AI taking over as an audio engineer? It's never going to happen. It's never going to fully happen, and people are going to notice a difference immediately between AI and a real human mixing. I'm not worried about it at all. I've always wondered, what is the volume level that you aim to finish at? Is it uniform? So, oh my god, excuse me. Sorry. So, let's take a look at the session real quick. So, you see this number right here, LUFS. I try to end my mix around -10 to -12. That's about how loud I want my shit to go. I think streaming Spotify is like -14, which is quieter. Or CD -14. I don't know. Spotify I think is -11, but I try to aim somewhere between -10 to -12 for final LUFS. But also when you're just like putting on your limiter. Now, Ozone is a phenomenal limiter. So like this thing does so much trickery that I don't know how the fuck it functions. Like I really don't. This is amazing. But this is able, I can crank the gain even more and it won't like distort or clip. But I like to limit at minus 0.3 just so it's just under that clipping mark, and it won't send anything crazy if it clips, especially if you put it on Spotify or YouTube, and it's close to, if it's like if it's -0.1, sometimes YouTube and Spotify take that as clipping, so it reduces the volume. -0.3 is a good spot. But I can seriously increase the gain on this and make it even louder, and it will still sound like it won't clip. But there is such a thing as like too loud. I can't believe I just said that, but there is such a thing as way too loud. I left it cranked and went upstairs for a while, came back down, and it's bumping. There you go. If only you were using Pro Tools, it would sound so much better. Fucking prick. Yeah, thanks, Ace Man, for confirming. Spotify is -14 LUFS. Q-Stick 333. Weird question. What type of mouse do you use? My arm gets so sore when I sit at the computer for a couple of hours. I use the Logitech Mixmaster 3. And I also have this little pad right here. It's filthy right now, but I rest my wrist, try saying that 5 times fast, on this little doohickey right here. And the combination with that and the mouse, I can sit at my computer for hours on end. Whether it's a long mix session. I mean, I've been at it now since 8 o'clock. I've been here 3 hours, and my arm's not tired at all. And while I'm at it, keyboards, I use the Logitech keys, both connected like easily with the Mac, and yeah, they've been working great. Hold on, let me first off increase the gain of the webcam, and then let me change the focus because the autofocus is going crazy. Right now I'm manually setting the focus, so now it won't flicker with autofocus. Yeah, so I think let me go back to what Ace Man was saying because I don't hear it, or I don't know what he's hearing or what he's talking about. At like 132. Okay, let's go to 132. Yeah, I like those notes popping out, though. I like that. Da, 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 da. I kind of like that popping out. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. And if I could do this mix this easily, you guys should have no problem. I will say, I royally fucked up with this. There was a section of kick drum hits that were not included in the original kick track in the finale, in the right when the lead guitar kicks in. Throughout the course of this stream, I had to manually put in the kick samples. I re-exported this, and I re-uploaded it to the Dropbox folder. So, basically what I'm saying is re-download the kick track and then reinsert that and replace what you have in your sessions. Because I royally fucked up, and there was a gap of kick hits that weren't rendered for some reason. So just replace the kick track with the one that's in the Dropbox folder right now. It literally says in all caps, use this one. Just use it. Just replace it, and it should be perfect with whatever mix settings you have. Yeah, the kick drum in this is just a sample, and I'm you're gonna see it right here. Just gasp. Snare sample. I put a snare sample to go with the snare sound. So I like to add samples to the snare to just help out the overall sound of the snare drum. So normally I refuse to put samples on everything, but since the kick was already replaced, why not? The toms came out sounding great. I don't think those needed samples at all. Lamar Brewster, this has been a lot of fun. I've never mixed a track before, and it's forced me to work on learning my DAW. I'm not winning, but I'm having fun and learning a ton. There you go. That's all that matters, guys. So if you replace your kick track in your sessions and want to resubmit it, you can. You could even say resubmission because you're a fucking idiot and you fucked up. I'll take that resubmission. But if you don't and the kick drum's not there when we listen to it, it's fine. I won't judge you on that. All right, guys. So that is it. That is my version, at least, of this track here. It's this was a very fun track to mix and fuck with. I'm very happy with how it came out. Chris Kozer, almost every modern mix uses samples, not a big deal. I mean, if you want, the sound of a real drum kit played by a real drummer, then yeah, it is kind of a big deal. I personally do not like using samples, but the tracks that Zachy used in his mix, his original mix, was a kick replacement sample. So work with what you got. For like speed prog metal where you have a lot of double kick, you almost have to replace the kick with a sample because it's very rare to encounter a drummer who actually can double kick that smoothly and that effectively without it sounding like you need a sample. Yeah, this was fun, guys. So that's my version of the mix. I will be accepting your submissions until Friday, July 11th at 11:59 p.m. And then that email account is closed. We will listen to the submissions that were submitted after that, sometime hopefully the week after, before we go on a mini festival tour, Zachy and I. So we will be here in the studio listening to everything, and we will pick a winner. And then when we pick the winner, you hopefully will be watching. And if you want the cash prize, which is a $200 Amazon gift card from my pocket, you can take the cash option. Or if you have a song that you want produced, mixed, and promoted on my channel, that's the other prize, and I think that's the cooler prize. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna go get dinner now, and I don't know where and Elvis is now literally laying on the floor, spread eagle, because it's so goddamn hot in here.